Hey everyone, this should be the last patch of the season now. Well, pretty much the last patch anyway, and we have actually more than I thought. There are 12 changes, some of them bigger than others. This is from the PBE, so it could change, but it's really unlikely. By the way, the Halloween skins should be out with this patch as well. There are 3 of them. There's the Trick or Treat Echo, which looks so good. The splash art is nuts. Count Caligula, which actually pains me a little bit to say that pun out loud, and Bewitching Janna. All of these have really cool effects, and they should be 1350, I think. I'm also not sure, but I don't think the KDA skins are out in 8.21, but let us know in the comments if you know when they're going to be released. I know we've had a few sponsors in videos this week on the channel. This one isn't, but I just want to say thank you and give back a little bit. So we're going to do an RP giveaway on this video and also give away 2 or 3 Infernal Amumu skin codes and also 2 or 3 Odyssey emote codes for the Sonar emote. All you have to do is leave a comment down below. You can like the video if you want to, completely up to you. But yeah, so we're going to have like 7 winners, I guess, 1 RP, 3 codes of each. So let's start with the biggest changes. The biggest one, Irelia. Base move speed lowered from 340 to 335. Bit of a meme, right? 5 move speed. Can that really make that much of a difference? Normally, I would take the piss out of it, and I still feel like she needs a lot more than just this, but there is something. Graves' last patch had his AD lowered by 3, which is pretty much nothing, right? Same as this like 5 move speed, but his win rate actually dropped. So look at this. The last 4 patches, guess which patch was the nerf? That's the last little squiggle bit. The point is, small nerfs, where they are nerfing like base stats, they can actually have an impact. I'm not so sure about 5 move speed for one of the most unbalanced champions in the game, but it is a start, and her mobility is one of the issues right now, so lowering that, making her less mobile should help. So seriously though, the biggest change I actually think is to Zoe this patch. She's getting buffed. Part of her Q damage is going to be increased to 50 to 170 from 50 to 150, so the max range is now going to be 425, and her E cooldown, her sleep cooldown, has been lowered to 16 to 12 from 16 to 14. Her damage actually has 3 parts to it, so it's got the scaling part based on her level, it's got this part which is based on rank, and then it has the AP ratio. So short range Zoe won't be doing much more damage, but long range Zoe will do more, and I don't think anybody really has much of a problem with her when she uses her Q point blank really. This should buff her about like maybe 1.5 to 2 item point in the game. Around level 9 onwards, when you have this maxed out and it's early enough that 50 extra damage at max range will make a difference. She's already not doing that terrible actually in the game, floating just under like 50%, which is pretty good for Zoe in 8.20, so she'll probably be meta again and we'll see her a bunch. So Kai'Sa is actually getting nerfed as well this patch. Passive proc damage scaling with AP has been lowered. So it was 3.75% per 100 AP, and it's now going to be 2.5%. And also her ultimate shield duration is 2 seconds from 3. They did have other changes before this where they changed it to be like a flat amount, not a percentage of the missing health, but that meant she kind of burst like lower health targets harder, and obviously that's going to be a bad idea. I'm not a massive fan of this though. Like, this doesn't really target the AD build at all. It's just really the AP one. There isn't really as much of a reason to go straight Rageblade into AP, and now more reason to go Stormrazor into crit instead, which is what a lot of people did. I actually prefer AP. It's more fun, it's more bursty, and I'd prefer to have more build options anyway. I think that's kind of like part of the fun, right? Changing it up each game. Realistically, you're probably losing about like 5% missing health damage, so it's not the end of the world, but it makes her tank shredding and her late game worse. Rounding out the kind of like the bigger changes, we have 2 items. So Edge of Night is going to be 100 gold cheaper, and the channel time is going to be a second instead of 1.5. The 100 gold is nice and everything, but I like the channel time a little bit more. It makes it a lot more viable, I think, to actually buy it. So you can use this closer to a fight now, which means it's more likely to actually be useful and you're going to get it off, I guess. The thing is, this is like really good to go aggressive with. You pop it before you make a play and you know you're going to make it. It's just, it's not that good as like a defensive or reactive tool. Now it's going to be quicker. You can justify buying it a little bit more if the fight breaks out or is like about to or something. 1 second isn't that long to get this up. To be fair, I doubt it will be used on anybody except assassins as they go into fights like it is now, but the issue is kind of like you don't really want more than 2 lethality items normally, since when they start building armor it becomes a lot worse. You want percentage and not flat. So basically you're normally going to pick 2, right? And you're going to go with Ghostblade and Dustblade for most of them because they're pretty much more useful in every single game. The other one is to Essence Reaver, so it's going to be 200 gold cheaper down to 3,000 gold total now. And with how cheap Stormrazor is at the moment, we rarely ever see this as an item on an AD carry, despite it being a pretty good one for some champions. Like Sivir, Lucian, Xayah could probably use it pretty well. And then you have stuff like Jax and Renekton that spring to mind for me as well. But like, I think that you could use this on quite a few different champions. Actually, in Korea, Jax uses this as a second item after Trinity Force quite a lot. So we'll probably see that more at least because it's cheaper now. And same for Lucian, actually. It's just like the opportunity cost part, right? If you buy this, you can't buy something else. Normally that something else is crit, which is going to scale a bit better with the rest of your build. So if you're going for a crit build and you slot this in, it kind of just delays everything. It's definitely stronger now though, and more viable if it's coming down in price though. It might be a good like first item instead of Stormrazor. So you go Essence Reaver and then you go into crit afterwards instead of picking up the Stormrazor to start with. So as I said, those are probably the ones you have to really know about, I think, but there are more that will still impact your games as well. So Karthus is getting his W mana cost lowered by 30 and the cooldown lowered by 3 seconds, and his ultimate mana cost has been lowered to a flat 100 at every rank from 150 to 200. I see a fair few Karthus one tricks doing pretty well recently, so these are probably just like a gentle nudge really to play him a little bit more. The mana cost on his wall is really nice. The cooldown is better as well. That's great. It's his main way to stay safe or to like engage onto somebody and chase him down. The 100 mana on his ultimate though, it's kind of funny. Like it makes me laugh, right? On the one hand, yes, it's great. You can duck out of lane, use it to kill a side lane or something, and then stay in lane with more mana, which is awesome. But on the other hand, most of the time that you're going to use this later into the game, you're already dead. So it doesn't really matter. Like it has no mana cost when you're dead anyway. The champion is just designed to die and then blast people, right? So it seems kind of ridiculous that you're taking his ultimate and making the mana cost lower. So Alistar is finally getting a nerf. His base health has been lowered by 40. It's not massive, but it's aimed at making it easier to punish him early in the lane phase, I think. I honestly don't mind this at all. Like Alistar has some of the best engage and lockdown in lane, but he should take a risk for it that isn't really there at the moment. 40 health is not going to nerf him into the ground or anything, but it gives him a little bit more counterplay. So if you see him dive in and use everything, like use all his cooldowns, you don't have to be as afraid to chunk him back and chase him down. I've stuck this one for Aurelion Soul next to Alistar deliberately because it's basically the same thing. His base health is going to be lowered by 52, but his health regen has been increased from a whopping 1.3 to 1.4. Aurelion is insane early game and has definitely one of the best early game win rates in the game at the moment and has done pretty much all season. The idea is that if he has less health, he can't really bully as easily, can't trade as often, or come out on top. He can't roam as easily either, so he can't win the game as easily. It's definitely the right way to do this. Like targeting his early game is going to lower the power of Aurelion, but it's one of those things that you rarely ever see, and then when you do an Aurelion one trick or something, it's actually a really sad game. Ezreal is going to get some buffs as well though. His W damage has been increased by 20 rank 5. So it sounds a little bit weird, but his AD builds are fine at the moment. Like his win rate actually went up a little bit and so did his play rate, which means that he should actually be stronger overall. And Riot think maybe a little bit too strong once people get used to the change. The AP side of things though is looking a little bit too weak, and this is one of the things they really wanted to do with the rework or with the new W, make sure they didn't kill AP Ezreal. The problem is that you can't really buff AP ratios because AD Ezreal still builds double tier with Archangels and actually gets some AP. Double tier is really good right now, but you have to scale it. You need even more time in a game, so it's not always the best choice. But if they buff his AP ratios and make that stronger, it probably would be the best every single game. So they kind of suck, right? They're just going to give it a nudge base damage wise at later ranks that only matters if you max it, which as AD you don't, but AP you do. Let's have a little look at Ivern next. So his base move speed has been increased by 5, his W damage increased by 10 rank 1, and his E shield increased by 5. I wonder if they think Ivern is actually like secretly good as well, because these aren't actually that big for one of the most like underplayed champions in the game. Move speed on a jungler is pretty good. It might help him gank a little bit more, so maybe there is going to be more impact from that kind of side of things. Your W damage is actually per auto attack as well, and you max his last, so that is going to be 10 more for most of the game, for like most of every single game. Like if you hit somebody 5 times during a gank or something and you're standing in one of those, and that is going to be 50 damage, which actually isn't that bad at all. 5 shield is kind of taking the piss just a little bit, but I mean like altogether they aren't really that bad. The only issue I kind of have with Ivern right now is he's so good in an AD carry focus meta where he can buy like Aunt Sensor and like buff up his AD, but in this kind of meta where like solo lanes are so important, so like top lane and mid lane and stuff, he doesn't actually do as well. Sure, he can gank a lot and stuff, but he's much better in AD focus metas, I think. Speaking of bot lane and stuff, we have one for Karma. I think this is really like support wise, but maybe it's top lane as well, who knows. Your W root duration has been changed from 1 to 2 seconds. It's now going to be 1.4 to 2 seconds. So I think most people max this last, at least for supports they do, so that is going to be a longer route for most of the game. I guess it helps a gank setup if the jungler comes, or like 2v2 fighting a bit more. I mean, crowd control is a really underrated way. Well, it's not really underrated at all. It's just a really good way to lock people down to get those kills. Karma's damage is kind of bonkers anyway if she can bully early. I just feel like it all falls off pretty hard. She can bully really well early. She has a lot of damage, and maybe she'll be picking up a few more kills with this change, which would then snowball into the rest of the game. Zach can kind of struggle early, apparently. That's what Riot said, so they're buffing his damage. And this is something I actually do like for junglers. If you watch his normally, you probably know what I'm already going to say. More damage means faster clear speed in the jungle, means more ganks and more health to gank with as well. It's not just 10 damage either, a rank 1, since it applies to everybody you slap. It's not really going to be like that great for ganks themselves, but just hopefully spend less time farming, which means more time ganking. The issue is that you actually want to max this last normally. So I don't know if that's going to change or something, because obviously the biggest buff here is if you max it first. It's kind of weird. You max your E so you have better ganking and you can actually get into fights a little bit more, and that's kind of like what makes Zac good, right? And then you normally max your W after for the consistent damage. I don't really know where this fits in, but maybe people are going to swap to maxing their Q first. At least it's going to be 10 extra damage though, rank 1, which isn't bad. So there you go. That is what you can expect for patch 8.21. Thank you very much for watching the video, and for now I will leave you with robots.